Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Paper Wishes Weekly Webisodes. I'm Sarah Newman, and I'm excited to share new Christmas edger dies from our friends at Creative Expressions. Today we're going to play with 3 different edger dies. So first we have the 3 little snowmen. We also have the winter fox. And we have the Oh Christmas tree. Now these are all designed to be cut out along the edge of your card front or cardstock to create a really unique focal image. Now we also have some Christmas sentiments too, and these match perfectly for the inside of your cards and can stand alone for the card front too. So we have Keep Christmas in Your Heart All Year. We have the Festive Wishes. And we have All is Calm, All is Bright. Now I have 3 card projects to share with you today, and these cards will use papers from the Christmas Memories paper pack. And this has 12 double-sided designs in 12-inch by 12-inch size. And they all have beautiful vintage-inspired patterns. As you can see, we have a lot to explore today, and I'm so glad that you're here. Come play with us. First, let's talk about what we mean by edger dies. So 2 of the designs, Oh Christmas Tree and the Winter Fox, can be cut from your card front to create a really beautiful cutaway card. And that will look something like this. So you can see I've taken that Oh Christmas Tree design and just cut it from the front flap of my blank card. I put a little bit of green cardstock in here just so that you could see that contrast and that beautiful detail on there. So this is one way that you can use these 2 designs. Now all 3 of the designs, including the super adorable 3 little snowmen, can be cut separately from cardstock and then stacked and layered, and if you want, paper pieced to create some really fun and unique card focals. So let's take a look at our first card. So here you can see my Christmas tree design is cut from the front panel of my card. I'll open this up so that you can see. Now before I die cut the front of my card, I covered it with pattern paper. So let's take a look at that process because I have a couple of tips to share with you. So I'm going to move these aside and bring in my blank white card and a very important tool, which is the simple glue stick. Now normally when I'm covering the front of my card, I use a double-sided tape and I just put it around the edges. But because I know I'm going to be cutting into the card front for this technique, I need to make sure that the paper is glued firmly, especially in the center. So I'm going to take my glue stick and I'm just going to apply this around all 4 sides as I normally would, and also make sure that I'm applying it across the center here as well. You don't need to overdo it, but you do need to make sure that that paper will be glued firmly in the center as well as the edges. Then I just put my pattern paper on top and smooth it down and trim around. And then I will have a piece that looks like this. So this is all firmly glued in here. Before you die cut, I do suggest that you make sure to wait a couple minutes just so that glue will be totally dry before you do your die cutting. Then all you need to do is add your die on the front. So it is pretty important, of course, that you open up the front of your card so that you're only working onto the front and you're not trying to die cut through all of these layers. And then simply take your die and place it onto the front and secure it down. Now this is where you can really play with the positioning so that you can have this going a little bit more toward the fold of your card. You can also have it going more toward the edge. Really just depends on how much of this area here you want to cut away. So once you decide that, then you just need to put your die down in place. And I use a little bit of masking tape to tack this down. So I'll put a little piece here and a little piece over here. You don't need to overdo it, just 2 little pieces will do the trick. Do make sure to put the tape on the area where you're going to be cutting away rather than the area you want to keep, because that pressure from your die cutting machine can really make that tape stick, and when you try and remove it, it can tear pretty easily. So do keep that in mind too. Now another tip that I want to share with you. This die, like many Creative Expressions dies, is really intricate. So sometimes when you're die cutting into thick card or cardstock that's got more paper glued on top of it, it can be tricky to get a clean cut when you're die cutting this just 1 or 2 times through your machine. Sometimes doesn't always give you the perfect result. So one way to get really nice, crisp, clean die cuts is with the Sticks to die cut release sheets. And that's what I used for the cards that I'm working with today. And this is just a little piece that you can add into your sandwich of paper and cardstock. Just slide that through, run it through your die cutting machine, and you will get a noticeably cleaner, crisper cut. It really does make a difference with your intricate dies. Okay, so once I run that through, I will have a piece maybe that looks something like this. Now here you can see I've really put that die closer to the edge of the card, the fold of the card, because I wanted you to see what that looks like. And then I get to decorate the front and then also the inside of my card as well. So this is how simple it is. Now I'm going to bring back in my original card here. We can take another look at this. So you can see here I've added a border cut from some of that gorgeous Christmas paper. I've also got a dazzle border going down along the side here and a little bit of jute twine wrapped around the front. Now on the inside, I have some more of that beautiful patterned paper, and I have one of the Creative Expressions die cut sentiments on here as well, plus some more dazzles just here at the top. Now, before you decorate the inside, do be sure to play with the positioning of your elements for the inside, just so that your message isn't going to compete with this beautiful edge on here. So I kind of tucked my sentiment down here in the corner where I knew it would be covered by that area here. So this is how easy it is to use the edger dies on the front of your card panel. Let's take a look at another card, one that incorporates some simple layering. You can also cut your edger design from a separate piece of cardstock, and you can do some layering, which is what I've done on this card using the Winter Fox design. It's a really easy process to do, and it's a great way to get some depth and extra color on your designs. So I'll show you the process. I'm going to move these aside and bring in the Winter Fox, just simply cut from a piece of plain white cardstock. And I know it's a little hard to see the contrast, so I'll put in some of this red paper from the Christmas paper pack, and you can see how beautifully detailed that is. So all I need to do is die cut it once from the white cardstock and then a second time from brown or another contrasting cardstock. Now in this case, after I cut it from brown, I just took a pair of scissors and trimmed around the excess piece. So all I need to do is just make sure that I trim around the areas that I want, and then I can glue my little brown fox on top of the same area in the white border. Now I can choose to have it glued directly on top, or I might even decide to offset it just a little bit so that I get kind of a shadow effect on there too. Now for gluing, you can use your glue stick. You can also use the Cosmic acrylic glue. This is another great option for that. So once you have that glued down, then you can decorate the rest of your card. So I'm going to bring back in my original card and we can take another look here. So I've used this really sweet plaid background on here, glued my white piece down on top. I've added this really beautiful element here as a border and some gingham ribbon. So I've wrapped the ribbon around this panel before I glued it onto the front of my card and then added the bow on here separately. Now you'll notice I also gave the fox a little warm scarf. So in this case, I die cut a third time and just used the red pattern paper to create the scarf, kind of nesting it in here. And we're going to take another look at some more paper piecing with our next card design. Now, because I have a pretty large and intricate card focal, I don't need to do a whole lot else to the rest of my card. For the inside, I've simply added another piece of this beautiful pattern paper and also the Festive Wishes die on here. So this is how easy it is to create some simple layering with your edger dies. Let's take a look at another design. Our third edger design works horizontally, so instead of cutting it from the front of my card, I've cut it from a separate piece of cardstock and layered it onto my card front. Now this design is a lot of fun because you can use it very simply or personalize it with coloring or paper piecing as I've done here. Now before we get into the paper piecing, I just want to show something else to you with this design that I think is really fun. Now in this case, I've just simply die cut the edger from black cardstock, and I thought it looked so sweet as kind of an old-fashioned silhouette. And I thought if you could just put this on top of a piece of that vintage sheet music from the Christmas paper pack, that you would have the start to a really sweet and very simple Christmas card design. And I think with just some simple matting around the outside and maybe a little bit of ribbon, you would have a beautiful card ready to go. And that's one thing I love about these designs. You really have the freedom to make either very detailed or very simple cards. Okay, so back to our paper piecing. I've got part of this started for us just so that we can take a look at the process, and I'll kind of walk you through that process. So in this case, what I've done is die cut the snowman trio 3 times. I've die cut it from white cardstock that you can see here. I've die cut it from black cardstock, and I've also die cut it from green pattern paper. Now I've glued the white piece directly on top of the black piece. When I die cut the white piece, I popped out all of the innies. For the black piece, I wanted to keep the innies in so that I would have that background. So I'm going to flip this over. Don't be alarmed when you see it. It looks pretty bad from the back because I have all of my masking tape on here. And the masking tape is what's going to hold in those innies. So I put the masking tape on, run it through my die cutting machine just one time. Make sure that I can get around the outside edge, but so that none of the little detail bits will fall out. And then if I need to, I'll add some more masking tape on there. Then glue the white piece right on top. And then I can do my paper piecing with green. Now when I do that, here's another little tip that I like to keep in mind. I will use the sticky side of a little sticky note to put all of my die cut elements that I want to paper piece. I just tack those right on there, and it just helps ensure that I don't lose them in my very busy work surface. Now for glue, you can use either your glue stick. You can also use the Cosmic acrylic glue. That's another good option there too. So what I'm going to do is just grab one of these little elements here. You can see I've already done a lot of this. Just put some adhesive either onto the back of the piece or into the open area, and then just nest it right inside. So you can see it's actually quite an easy process to do. Now you can do as much or as little as you want to. I just wanted to create some color and some contrast in the accessories of the snowman, if you will. So their hats and their scarves mainly. Okay, so let me show you once again my card front, and we can take another look at this. So I've simply glued this right onto the front of the card, again, right onto some of this beautiful vintage inspired paper. And then I've got some of that gorgeous green in the background, and a little bit of ribbon is all you need. Now for the inside of my card, again, a little bit more paper and one of the die cut sentiments on here. So it's quite simple and easy to do, but a great way to create a card with a little bit of winter fun and dimension. Now I have one more card that I want to show you, mostly because I just really love this paper pack and I wanted to share a really quick and easy card design with you. Now this card does not use the edgers, but I wanted to use the sentiments. For all of our other card projects today, we've been using the sentiments on the inside. And for this card, I wanted you to see how easy it is to create a super quick card using the sentiment as your focal element. And Christmas can be a little stressful, so sometimes it's good to have a couple of quick and easy designs at hand. So for this card, I've covered the front with patterned paper. Now I trimmed it smaller than the card front and matted it onto brown cardstock. And I really like this effect because it allows for a nice border to go around the edges. Of course, the paper can go vertically or horizontally, just depends on which way you like to go. So I'm going to have it going horizontally for now. And I die cut the Festive Wishes sentiment from brown cardstock, as you can see here, and then mounted it onto a series of circle dies. And these dies are from the Hot Off the Press collection of 12 circle and scallop cutting dies. And this is one that I use pretty much every day. I never put it away from my work surface. So you can see here I've got one circle that is white and then brown. I've got some patterned paper and then another white scalloped circle on here as well. And I've also used some foam tape to separate one of the layers just to give a little bit more dimension on there. So all you need to do is just pop this down onto the front of the card. And in this case, I thought I would add maybe a little bit of gingham ribbon on there as well. Now for the inside of my card, I've got more of that pattern paper plus one of the cutouts that's in the pattern paper collection. So again, A great way to get a quick and easy design. Not glued down all the way quite yet, but I think you get the gist of it. So that is our fourth and final card today, and I think you can see just how many possibilities there are with these Christmas designs from Creative Expressions. Thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you for being a part of the Paper Wishes family. We're really glad that you're here with us. I can't wait to see what you create, so do be sure to leave a comment. We love to hear what you think. Each item can be purchased separately, and you can see them below. However, we've also bundled them into a creative money saver just for you. For the money saver, just see this webisode on paperwishes.com.